Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic. Teachers of Reddit, what are some positive trends you have noticed in today's youth? Say what you will about Fortnite, but kids thank the bus driver now way more than they used to. I'm out of the loop, what has that got to do with Fortnite? In the game, before you jump out of the bus you have the option of pressing a button which gives thanks to the bus driver. Edit, spelling. Edit 2, since this comment has some popularity, I wanna give a shout out to you /Maso0 for an important note. Thanking the bus driver doesn't have any effect on the game, yet also everybody in a single lobby, 100 people, choose to do so anyways. Edit 3, okay, yes, the feature originated from a meme, but it was still a wholesome one that people actually meant. After that meme I bet that many more people starting thanking the bus driver ill. Collaborative learning through taking class notes on things like shared Google Docs. Students add in comments where they don't understand parts of a lecture, and other students will explain. Edit, wow, this brought amazing conversation. Thank you for the silver and gold, fantastic humans. As a teacher, sparking discourse is fantastic. Ask questions and stay collaborative, friends. I went to college much older than the norm and this blew my mind. We also had shared Dropboxes, flashcards, and even live Google Doc notes. Edit, my highest comment on Reddit ever, and it's about how I learned little from undergrad aside from hardcore teamwork. I'll take it. I graduated undergrad in 2007. Just got my master's this spring. It was amazing the difference a decade made. Much more collaboration and support amongst students. Hey, that's a genius idea. I'll steal it. It works almost perfectly, and can be a saving grace before testing. As a health POV. Students tend to be drinking a lot more water than when I was at school. Probably around 80% of kids tend to have water bottles, I've noticed now. During my time in school they wouldn't let us have water bottles or any kind of drink in class. Same here. You had 3 minutes between classes to use the restroom, get a drink, switch books, whatever. And quite a few teachers who would tell us we couldn't go get a drink because we wouldn't always be able to just drop what we were doing to get a drill later in life. Also no a/C in most classrooms. Kids are much more kind and accepting of those with special needs. Just more kind and accepting in general, actually. Edit, wow, this blew up. Thanks for my first gold. To add more context, I'm currently teaching preschool, but this comment was based on my time in 2nd grade. We had a few students on the spectrum and kids just seemed to understand their differences and not react or tease the way they did when I was that age. We had a student still in diapers for medical reasons, everyone knew and no one teased. There was also a lot less you can't play with us type drama than I remember. I've never worked with high schoolers, so no comment there. But if our elementary schoolers keep it up, the future is bright. Some people are little. Some people are big. As white as a redwood. As thin as a twig. Some people are tiny. Some people are tall. And others are massive. But maybe. Not all. Some people have brown eyes. Some people have blue. And some don't wear glasses. But some people do. Some people have short hair. Some people have long. And some folks are sturdy. And some not so strong. Some people are silly. Some people are strange. And some people alter. And some never change. Some people are oddballs. And others bizarre. But everyone's people. That's just how we are. I tried to give you an award for that pure-ass poetry, but it didn't work. I guess instead I'll drop this appreciation unicorn and hope for Reddit to do its thing. When kids actually commit to something they are extremely resourceful. I feel like it's being raised with the internet at their fingertips. My daughter is 4 and her preschool is teaching her Spanish. At home, when she wants to know the Spanish word for something, she asks me to Google it on my phone. It's so crazy. Yep, I'm getting my degree and I couldn't imagine studying without internet and still get a decent grade. Funny you mention that. My grandma was born in the countryside of Argentina, and grew up without electricity, let alone TV, until her teens. Now she's living with me and constantly asks me, ask the Spanish lady for the recipe of X. The Spanish lady is how she nicknamed Google Assistant. Seems like technology is making some big, positive changes to everyone who wants to learn stuff. I teach second grade. They are much kinder and they are much better readers than kids even 10 years ago. I'm surprised to have to scroll so far down to find this. Illiteracy was a problem well into this century, since lots of poor students would also mean they are not reading. Now, kids are immersed into reading at about the same time they can talk because of that evil cell phone technology. My girlfriend's 7-year-old daughter was already reading before kindergarten. I don't think we were taught to put letters together until the end of kindergarten or first grade, I can't remember. Loads of poor kids are still not proficient readers, unfortunately. Kinda, absolutely. My second grader accidentally peed before he had pulled his pants all the way down, went to the bathroom too late. He was mortified to go back to class, and was crying. While the teacher was looking for something he could wrap around himself, a boy stood behind him to block the sight of his wet clothes. Another boy stood in front of him, and a third boy told him that happened to me once in kindergarten. I was embarrassed too. A single child laughed. When I was in second grade, I can guarantee that everyone would have laughed at me. For days or weeks. Being kinder to animals, jerks I grew up with used to hit strays with stones and sticks. True, I see this trend even with bugs. I have a lot of kids try to keep or save ants or other bugs they find in the classroom rather than immediately decimate it. Although I will say I've also had kids eat the ants they find because they heard somewhere that ants taste kinda good. They reported back to me that the ants were spicy and that it felt as though the ant was crawling around inside their throat and then stomach. Gotta love middle school. I seriously regret reading that last part. They are not only more open about their own mental health, they are vigilant about their friends as well. Twice I've had students come to me concerned about a peer, once because a girl had started hurting herself and once because a boy was showing hints of suicidal thoughts. Both students are currently doing much better. We found out my daughter was self-harming and had suicidal ideations because her friends spoke up and asked the school counselor for help for their friend. How do you react to that? As someone in your daughter's situation, I'm nervous about my parents finding out somehow. I have noticed that my freshmen, for the most part, tend to be very open, I guess is the right word. They seem to readily share their thoughts, ideas, problems, etc. with each other. They put each other's thumb/fingerprints in their phones, readily share them, and don't really have anything to hide. They are also super honest and upfront with me. I don't know if this is truly going to turn out to be a positive thing in the long run, but their expectations of privacy are very different than mine. I think it is an offshoot of social media culture. I've said that about my kids and their friends, these generations are blackmailable. This is a wonderful thing, because so many horrors come from shame and secrecy. There's been so much evil done in the past through manipulating people using shame. From the blackmailing of gays, to self-hatred and its projection. But I can't see it happening anymore. These kids won't have it. They are open about their problems, and they are incredibly supportive of each other during difficulties. They're growing into adults that just are not motivated by those fears or those secrets. It's amazing. I love the young. Radical honesty is a phrase many of my younger classmates use. They live in the light. It's really inspiring. Art teacher here. My 6-year-old students are really good with encouraging statements, absolutely unprompted by us. We were working with clay and the shyest girl, who had never spoken once, said, "Wow Rely, you did a great job on your bunny. It looks beautiful." Or when a girl cried because hers broke, a student said, "Don't worry Coco, you can repair it, it'll be okay." Just very kind things like that, you wouldn't believe a 6-year-old would have the selflessness to say. I think if you watched some of the shows they watch, especially at that age, you'd find that they are mirroring things they've watched. Shows like Peppa Pig and Paw Patrol are full of examples like this for them to learn from. Daniel Tiger for the win. I teach year 1, I've noticed that they care a lot about the environment. Always wanting to recycle, stop driving cars because of the smoke. One kid even saw me drive into school and told me I wasn't caring about the environment and should ride a bike. They're also incredibly empathetic. Towards their friends, peers, animals, doesn't matter. For 6-7-year-olds who are typically supposed to be self-absorbed, I think this is pretty cool. They are very accepting as well. There's a boy in the class next door with ASD, and occasionally when he has a meltdown, the kids from next door come to my class. After explaining why, all of my kids understand that his brain works differently and at the moment, his brain is probably confused and doesn't know how to process his feelings. None of them make fun of him, call him bad or naughty, which I think definitely would have happened when I was a kid. My 6-year-old just finished kindergarten, and there were 2 kids in his class with some sort of issues that caused them to act out sometimes. My kid came home once and just stated as fact that Jonah had a bad day at school. He needed help from our classroom helper to make his body settle down, so we were all quiet for a bit to help him out. And the caring and understanding in that statement just gets me right in the feels. When I was that age we were all jerks, and you made fun of the kids who acted out. I'm so glad my kids' generation is learning to be caring and empathetic. Honestly, it seems like it's because people are finally explaining to children why some children act differently instead of just they are different, deal with it. Because they have an explanation, there's nothing unknown to be scared of or make fun of, so they move on instead of harping on it. Edit, while I understand the whole everybody didn't know what, insert anything here, was caused by, and that we now have a much better understanding, the fact that the first instinct used to be for different people to be othered and separated is more the problem I'm getting at. A child hearing their brain works differently can be enough for them to understand that person intakes and reacts to things in a different way than they do. Also, thank you to the anonymous donor for my first silver. I'm glad it's not for something completely stupid.